If you're in the business of shipping goods, then you know how important it is to get the best freight rates possible. But how do you go about calculating those rates? It can seem like a daunting task, but with the right tools and information, it's actually not that difficult. In this video, we will walk you through the process of calculating freight rates and show you how to get the most bang for your buck. So whether you're just starting out in the shipping business or you're looking for ways to save money on your current rates, continue watching for tips and tricks that will help you get there. What are freight rates? Freight rates are the charges you pay for shipping goods from one place to another. The amount of money you pay will depend on many factors, such as the type of cargo being shipped, how far it is going, any special requirements, and more. Freight shipping costs are typically based on the size and weight of the shipment, as well as any additional services required. Freight carriers offer different rates based on the type of shipment, route, and other variables. To get the best rate for your shipment, you'll need to compare rates from multiple carriers and find the one that offers the lowest price. Trucking freight rates, for example, can vary greatly from one company to another. To learn more about the transportation industry, check out our previous video. How to calculate freight shipping rates. Calculating freight rates requires a little bit of math and some information. First, you'll need to know the dimensions of your shipment and the weight of the package. Once you have those determined, then you can calculate the volumetric weight. Volumetric weight considers density versus size in calculating freight rates. Basically, if an item takes up more space than it weighs, you'll need to use the volumetric weight to determine freight costs. After calculating the volumetric weight of your shipment, then you can begin looking at shipping cost estimates from different carriers. Most carriers offer online tools that allow customers to get an estimate based on the items they are shipping and where they are shipping them to and from. Once you have a few estimates, then you can compare the cost of service levels and delivery times to determine which option is best for your needs. To learn more about freight, check out our previous video. Why should I use a freight shipping calculator? Freight calculators are used to get an estimate of freight costs quickly and easily. Calculating freight rates can be a complex process, but using a freight shipping calculator simplifies the process and helps you get an accurate estimate to help you plan your budget accordingly. Plus, it's always nice to know exactly how much something will cost before committing. Why is it important to calculate freight cost? Air freight, trucking freight, and other forms of shipping items come with a cost. Calculating freight costs is important to ensure that you don't pay more than necessary for your shipments. Here are some of the reasons why freight cost calculation is important. It helps you plan and budget for your shipments. It gives you an accurate estimate of how much it will cost to ship your items. It helps you compare different freight shipping services and choose the one that fits your needs best. It ensures that you don't pay more than necessary for your shipments. Using a freight shipping calculator is the quickest and easiest way to get an estimate of your freight cost. It also helps you compare different services, which can save you time and money in the long run. Freight classification. Aside from calculating freight rates, understanding freight classifications is another world you must become acquainted with. Here are some of the classifications you should familiarize yourself with so calculating freight rates can be a breeze. General freight. This classification includes items that don't meet the criteria of any other class. It usually consists of random items such as office furniture and non-perishable foodstuffs. Refrigerated freight. This classification includes items that require special handling and transportation with temperature control, such as frozen food. Automobile freight. As the name suggests, this classification includes automobiles and other large vehicles traveling over long distances. Dry bulk cargo. This is a specialized form of freight that consists of materials like sand or grain transported in tankers, hoppers, and other specialized containers. There are many more classifications that you should familiarize yourself with before calculating freight rates. So make sure to do your research. You don't want any surprises when calculating freight costs. Now that you know the basics of freight classifications, calculating freight rates will be a lot easier. What information is needed for the freight rate calculator? Shipping freight rates can vary hugely depending on a range of factors. Before calculating your rate, you should gather information about the items being shipped, including their size, weight, and value. Here is the information that you need to have on hand before calculating freight rates. Item description. What type of items are being shipped and what is their purpose? Total weight of your shipment, including the packaging. Dimensions of the package or pallet. Origin zip code and destination zip code. Freight class. The classification of your shipment based on its density and stowability. Service type. What type of service do you need? Is it a full truckload or a less than truckload shipment? Insurance coverage. To protect against any damage during transit. Variables that affect the freight costs. There are factors that go into calculating freight rates. We have listed some of the most important ones below. weight and density of cargo. Heavier and denser cargoes usually require more space, which can result in higher freight costs. Multiple shipments of the same cargo can also affect overall freight costs. Mode of transportation. Different modes of transportation, like air freight or sea shipping, may incur different rates depending on the distance and ports you are sending to and from. Distance. The longer the journey, the higher the cost of freight will be. Delivery destination is also a factor, as certain countries have higher shipping costs. Security requirements. Certain cargoes may require additional security, like insurance, to cover any potential damages, which can add up to your overall freight rate. Type of container. Different types of containers have different capacities, which in turn affects the cost. Time of delivery. If you need your cargo to be delivered on a certain day or time, this can incur additional charges. Fuel prices. Fuel costs have an effect on freight rates as it affects the cost of running vehicles and ships. Additional costs such as customs clearance, taxes, and duties may also be applicable depending on the country of destination. According to the National Motor Freight Classification, freight rates can vary by 20% or more depending on the class of the cargo. Knowing the factors that affect calculating freight rates will help you get a better understanding and develop an effective shipping strategy. Being able to know the estimated time of delivery and having an understanding of the variables that affect calculating freight rates can help you plan your shipping needs more effectively. One way to check the estimated time of delivery is to use tracking systems like GPS tracking. With GPS tracking, you can monitor the progress of your shipment in real time and get accurate delivery times, so you know when to expect its arrival. Check out this helpful tool we recommend. Affiliate disclaimer. Frate Chain is supported by our viewers. When you purchase through links on our site, we may earn an affiliate commission that helps keep our website and its content. Thank you. Learn more. Motive is the perfect solution for ensuring your delivery goes off without a hitch. With their easy-to-use app, drivers can track hours and get an inspection report on their device. No more wasted time or stressed-out customers. Check out Motive today. To learn about freight careers, check out our previous video. Final thoughts. Calculating freight rates can be an intimidating task for those new to the shipping industry. However, with the right knowledge and resources, calculating freight rates can become a much simpler task. Understanding the different types of shipment and their associated costs, as well as researching various carriers and services, should all be taken into consideration when calculating freight rates. Looking at industry trends and calculating the cost of shipping goods using online tools can also be helpful. With the right information, calculating freight rates can become a much easier task that helps businesses make informed decisions. Determining freight rates is an important part of the shipping process, so take your time and do your research to ensure you make the best decisions for your business. Happy calculating! Thank you for checking out our guide on calculating freight rates. We hope this video has been helpful in understanding the process and what factors to consider when calculating these costs. Now that you have a better idea of what goes into calculating freight rates, it's time to go out there and get shipping. Disclaimer: Frate Chain provides educational content only. It should not be taken as professional advice. You should always consult a freight shipping expert before making any decisions.